Hello, welcome back to another video of Auxi Learning English. Today I bring you a presentation about the passive voice. Well, a grammar aspect that you may not enjoy very much. But with this presentation, I'll try to do my bit and I hope it is useful, and I would be happy if I can manage to clarify some aspects about this grammar issue. All right, so first of all, what we must have in mind is that when we express our ideas and thoughts, we can do it in two different ways. We can express it in what we call an active voice or a passive voice. Basically, we can say they are the same, they mean the same, although there might be some differences on which aspects we are focusing in our sentences. So let's start from scratch. Let's start from the very beginning. Now, when do we use the passive voice? I mean, what is the reason for us to use a passive sentence? Well, first of all, when we want to focus on the person or the thing which is affected by the action of the verb, so the agent may not be so relevant. That is, sometimes when we say something such as the plant is watered or the book is read, what really matters here is that the plant is watered and the book is read. But the people who did this action is not so important at all. Now, secondly, in some other cases, we might find that the subject is too obvious. For example, the thief was taken to prison. Well, only the police can arrest or take someone to prison, so it's not necessary to say that he was taken to prison by the police. So that explains why, in these cases, it's not necessary to mention the agent, so we are not really worried about who did the action, but who suffered the action. Okay? That is the thief. And thirdly, when we don't know the agent, obviously, if we don't know the person who did the action, we cannot include it. So in the example I provide you with here, the community was destroyed. Well, the community could be destroyed by someone, by floods, by a hurricane, but we don't know. So what really matters is that it was destroyed. So we can say that in these three cases, we summarize the examples in which the passive voice is a better alternative than the active. So remember, if you don't know the agent, or maybe it's too obvious, or simply you want to give more attention to the thing or the person who experienced the action, the passive voice is your option. Okay, so now, how do we make the passive voice? Now, the passive voice, once you understand the process, is quite straightforward. Believe me, it's not that difficult at all. First condition, we must have the verb to be always. Always. We must use the verb to be obviously in the correct tense. And secondly, we have to use the past participle of the verb we are using. So if you create a passive voice and when you finish you notice that the verb to be is not there or the past participle is not there, you have done something wrong. So believe me, this is 100% like that. These are the two conditions to have a good passive voice. Now, obviously, another aspect to consider is the order of the elements. Okay, we have seen how to use what elements to use for the passive, but now we have to remember that a direct object in an active voice becomes the subject in the passive, and the subject changes its position and becomes the agent, an agent which will be preceded by preposition by. So finally, it simply consists of changing the order, okay, and inserting the two conditions that we mentioned before. Remember, verb to be and past participle. So, according to that, let me share with you some examples. I have tried to summarize this table the most important tenses, okay, or those ones which are more popular that you might find in the passive. Okay, John waters the plants. We have a present simple. So the passive sentence, the plants are watered by John. John watered the plants. We have the verb in the past, so the only thing I have to do is to change the verb to be into the past. As you can see, the rest is exactly the same. Now, if we move on to a more, let's say, complex one, that is the present continuous. John is watering the plants. So let's make the present continuous of the verb to be. The plants are being watered by John. The same way for the past continuous. Remember, you only change the verb to be. As you can see, watered is the same in all sentences. You are simply playing with the verb to be. And that's important to bear it in mind. If we have a present perfect, John has watered the plants. Well, we make the present perfect of the verb to be have been watered by him. And then we can also have other tenses such as the past perfect. John had watered the plants. So once again, we change it into past perfect of the verb to be. The plants had been watered by him. So as you can see, it's quite straightforward once you get familiarized with changing the order and respecting the rules. Verb to be in the tense and past participle. But let's go on with some more. Okay, so let's have a look at these ones. For example, the future. John will water the plants. So the plants will be watered by John. We simply used the future of the verb to be. So nothing else to do. Simple, isn't it? All right, then we have the conditional. Exactly the same. John would water the plants. So the plants would be watered by John. So we already have the conditional in the passive. And we could go on and on and on with all tenses in English. Remember, we can also use them with the modal verbs. And John must water the plants must be watered by John. Okay, so we simply have to respect the rules for the modals. Bare infinitive, so must be, may be watered. Okay, so remember, it's the same structure. Okay, no matter which modal verb you are using, you simply respect that after the modal, the verb to be goes without to, and we keep that. John is going to water the plants. Going to, so the plants are going to be watered by him. So we've got plenty of examples here just to clarify that the conditions are always fulfilled. Watered, the verb is always in the past participle and the tenses are always changing according to the tense. Okay, now, however, we have another question to make, and that is, can we have passives with two objects? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And let's have a look at this. Two objects mean two passives in most cases, right? For example, John gave me some flowers. Well, some flowers is the direct object and me is the indirect object. So this implies that I will have two possibilities for making the passive. I can either have the direct object at the very beginning when you say some flowers were given to me, and that too is very important, or I can change into another form which might sound a bit strange, especially for Spanish speakers, but remember, this second one is the most popular in English. I was given some flowers. In the second case, we've got they told him the news. Two objects, the news and him. So the news was told to him, remember the two, and he was told the news. So it's important to remember that no matter how strange it might be, the second one, that is the one with the indirect object at the very beginning, is the most popular one in English. So focus on it. All right, and then we have another type of passive, which is that of impersonal passive. The impersonal passive is a type of passive which we use in formal English. And we use it especially when it involves verbs indicating opinion, thinking, beliefs. So with the verb to say, to tell, to believe, to think, to know, suggest, hope, and many others. Let me give you an example here. They think a new vaccine will come up soon. So we have the conditions, right? We've got the verb to think, and now we have two alternatives. I can either say, it is thought, because the verb is in the present, so it is thought. And then the sentence follows the same. It is thought that a new vaccine will come up soon. Or let's go for a more complicated one. A new vaccine is thought to come up soon. Finally, what we are doing is to use the verb think as the verb that has to be in the past participle. And then we have to use the right tense for the verb to be, is thought. Let's have some practice, okay? I'm sure that after this, right, you might have some doubts, okay? But let's have a look at some sentences. People know she's a good actress. Because I have the verb to know, okay, I have two possibilities. It's an impersonal one. She's known to be a good actress. It is known that she is a good actress. They expect that he will leave early. So once again, because I have this type of verbs, I can have two passives. He's expected to leave early. It is expected that he will leave early. As you can see, we are all the time using the verb in the past participle and using the present in this case of the verb involved. People believe he will win the race. He's believed to win the race, or it is believed that he will win the race. It's not that difficult, I promise. It's a matter of practice. Now, here comes ones with double object. They told me a secret. So, a secret was told to me, or I was told a secret. Remember this last one, the most popular one. Well, we can have they gave me a large sum of money. So, once again, we have two objects. So, a large sum of money was given to me, or I was given a large sum of money. And just to conclude, let's go to the basic one. Someone has left the door open. So, the door has been left open. Now, the passive voice, just to insist on this, is something which might seem to be quite difficult, quite messy, but I guarantee it's not, as long as you use common sense and the logical rules. So remember, just a few conditions. Change the order, verbs in the past participle, verb to be in the right tense. If you manage to do that, surely you will succeed. Okay, so I hope this video has been useful. Okay, let me know, and see you on the next one. Goodbye.